Hello, my dear friends. Now I am going to start new chapter that is a friction. Okay. So what is friction? We know that friction is a reactive force. Okay. Whenever applied a force on any body, then one opposing force. Yeah, we can say that one reactive force acting on that body. Okay. Which opposes the motion of a body. Friction. Okay. So how to define friction? Friction, we can say that when a body start slide or tend to slide on a surface on which it is resting, okay, then resisting force opposing his motion on contact surface, okay, that resisting force is called friction. Yeah, we can say that frictional force. Okay, you can write definition of the friction. Okay, see what is a friction. In generally we can see friction in daily ways. What is limiting friction? How to define limiting friction? Limiting friction is the friction which is maximum acting on the surface of contact of the body when body is just point of moving. Okay, that is called limiting force of the friction. Write down definition. Limiting friction, the maximum friction force that can be developed at the contact surface when body is just on the point of moving, just starting moving. Okay, it's called limiting force of friction. Okay, we can see that in the figure. Here is the limiting friction when just a start body moving. Okay, when applied the force that is called thrust, we can say that, then limiting friction occur. Opposite the action. Okay, now we are going to study about types of friction. How many types of friction? So there are four types of friction. First is a static friction. Second is dynamic friction. Third is sliding friction. Fourth is rolling friction. So first we will discuss about first a static friction. What is a static friction? So name itself define, we can say that a static in the sense rest in position. So when friction applied on the body when body in rest position. Okay. Second, dynamic friction. Dynamic means motion. Okay. So when a body experience friction when it is in motion position. Okay. Next, sliding friction. So what is sliding? We know that when one body slide over another body, so that is a sliding. Okay, so when any body experience friction when body slide over another body, okay, that is sliding friction. What is rolling friction? So name itself says rolling in the sense when a body roll over another body, okay, yeah, surface. So that is a rolling friction. So when a body experience friction in rolling position over another surface, okay. A static friction experienced by a body when it is at rest is called a static friction. Dynamic friction experienced by a body when it is in motion is called dynamic friction. Sliding friction experienced by a body when it slides over another body is called sliding friction. Rolling friction experienced by a body when it rolls over another body is called rolling friction. Yeah, we can say that roll in the any surface. Okay, roll over another surface. Here we can see that a static friction, sliding friction, and rolling friction. Okay, now we are going to study about angle of friction. What is the angle of friction? It is the angle between normal reaction and resultant force. Okay, so we can see in the diagram here resultant force and normal reaction. Okay, angle developed, that is called angle of friction. It is also known as limiting angle of friction. Okay, next we have to study coefficient of friction. What is the coefficient of friction? It is the ratio of limiting friction force and normal reaction. That is called coefficient of friction, which is denoted by mu is called. So we have one formula, that is mu is equal to F by N. Okay, now we are going to study about laws of friction. So what is the laws of static friction. First of all, we have to study about static friction. Okay. So first law says that the friction force always act in direction opposite to the that in which the body tends to move. In the sense, when body start moving, frictional force, a static frictional force act on this direction. Okay. Next, the magnitude of frictional force is equal to the external force. Okay. It means says that magnitude is equal of the frictional force and external force. Next, the ratio of limiting friction and normal reaction is constant. Mu is equal to frictional force ratio of limiting frictional force and normal reaction is constant. Next, the frictional force does not depend upon the area of contact between the two surface. Okay. Next, the friction force depends upon the roughness of the surface. In the sense what? जहां पे रफनेस ज्यादा होगी फ्रिक्शन फोर्स वहां ज्यादा लगेगा. ओके. अगेन लॉज ऑफ डायनेमिक फ्रिक्शन सेम. द फ्रिक्शन फोर्स ऑलवेज एक्ट्स in a direction opposite that in which the body is moving. Same opposite force, when force applied on this direction, then opposite force, that is a frictional force. Okay. Same thing like a static friction, same law. The ratio of limiting friction and normal reaction is constant and it is known as coefficient of friction, mu is equal to F by N. Next, for moderate speeds, the friction force remains constant बट इट डिक्रीज स्लाइटली विद द इंक्रीज ऑफ स्पीड. ओके. जब आपने स्पीड इंक्रीज कर दिया तो जो फ्रिक्शन क्या होगी वो स्लाइटली डिक्रीज हो जाएगी. नाउ वन मोर थिंग इन फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स वी हैव टू स्टडी, दैट इज ए रोलिंग फ्रिक्शन. ओके. इट इज ए इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस. इट्स फार्मूला FR is equal to mu R mg for rolling friction only. Okay. Because when you study about a static friction, yeah, we say that dynamic friction, then mu is equal to only frictional force is equal to mu n. Okay. Now we are talking about rolling friction. Okay. So here is everything same like static and dynamic friction, but except its rotational velocity omega. Okay. And translational velocity v. Okay. Because it will be move. Okay. Roll. Now we are going to solve one numericals from NCERT. Because we have a study about friction, so let's solve some numericals. So question is given. What is question? Question asking a mass of 4 kg rests on a horizontal plane. The plane is gradually inclined until at angle theta is equal to 15 with the horizontal. The mass just begin to slide. What is the coefficient of a static friction between the block and the surface? Okay. क्वेश्चन क्या कह रहा है कि कोई बॉडी है 4 kg की जो इंक्लाइन प्लेन पे रखी हुई है. इंक्लाइन कितनी है? 15 डिग्री. ओके. जो जस्ट बिगिन हुई है स्लाइड करना स्टार्ट की है. ओके. तो पूछ रहा है कि व्हाट इज द कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शन बिटवीन द ब्लॉक एंड सरफेस. तो सिंपल सा है. इसमें क्या करना है बताइए. आपकी थीटा दी हुई है 15 डिग्री. एंगल ऑफ रिपोज हमें निकालना है जो दी हुई है थीटा. तो हमें कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ फ्रिक्शन क्या पता है? म्यू इज इक्वल टू टेन थीटा. ओके. तो हमारी यहाँ पे थीटा कितनी दी हुई है? 15 डिग्री. तो म्यू इज इक्वल टू 15 डिग्री. सिंपली 15 डिग्री कितनी होती है? 15 डिग्री 0.27 होती है. ओके. तो यही आपकी आंसर हो जाएगी. और म्यू की कोई यूनिट नहीं होती है. ओके. सो म्यू जो होता है वो कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ फ्रिक्शन है जो यूनिट लेस है. ओके.